Good morning, Reedy. What a somber day it is. While some of us may be still in bed sleeping, others may be looking to hot cross buns. Maybe some are looking to other things other than the risen Jesus. Some of us around Australia are looking at things not worth time and effort. It's a somber morning. For us who know Jesus, we know the end of the story. So we live in this oxymoron. We live in this paradox of whether I should be excited or whether I should be sad. For those of us that have been following Jesus, we know what this day is all about. So we sit in this tension. Should I be excited or should I be somber? This day is a somber day. This day is a sad day. It's a day that we stop for a moment. We stop. The world stops. I think this is the only other day in Australia that Bunnings is shut. This is the day where people stop. But why? Why do they stop? Why do we need to stop? Usually this time of year is where we also get thrown around on Instagram or YouTube or on TikTok. We get thrown around whether or not we should celebrate Easter or not. Again, it's taking our eyes off the fact that we should be looking at the cross. It is a somber day. It is a somber day. Fam, Reedy Creek Baptist Church, we've been going through Mark, and we're going to skip to the very end of Mark. For those of us that call Reedy home, we're skipping to the end, if that's okay. We're skipping to the end. Last week, we celebrated the triumphal entry of Jesus on a colt. And Tony called us all donkeys. And I was like, yes. Because we're all looking at something that's not worth our time. We're all carrying a Jesus on our back, and we ain't declaring him. We're not helping people look to the cross. We're not helping people look to Jesus. Heck, Aaron, that's a hard message. It's reality. It's reality. So today we're at the beginning of the crescendo of Jesus' earthly ministry. During our time in Mark, we've seen Jesus calm the storms. We've seen Jesus heal people. We haven't yet, I think, maybe we have. We've seen Jesus raise people to life. We've seen Jesus do miracle after miracle, speak truth to power. He's consistently been compassionate. We've seen this. And then we find ourselves skipping to the end in chapter 14 of Mark's Gospel. Starting from verse 32, and we might touch on some chapter 15 stuff. We will begin in the garden where Jesus prays. And this is going to make you go, what? We will see that victory and freedom was already present. With tears, victory and freedom was already present. Then we'll move to the hill of the cross where that victory and freedom was secured. Now these moments might seem disconnected, but these movements help us move towards the moment that would change history forever. Let me just point this out. You're in this room because of this moment. Just think about that for a second. You're in this room because of that moment. Our story this morning begins in the Garden of Gethsemane. Mark 14:32 tells us that Jesus and his disciples went to a place called Gethsemane. And Jesus said to them, "Sit here while I pray." Jesus then took Peter, James, and John with him. Now, Whenever Mark puts in a little bit more emphasis, puts a little bit more focus on something, we've got to take note. Why does he say these specific names? Now, these three disciples appear in the most intimate moments. These three get to see Jesus transfigured. These three get front row seats, if you will, to every conversation or most conversations. These three are a big deal. And now they are present in one of the most significant moments of all. Now, Mark records something striking about Jesus in this moment. Jesus began to be greatly distressed and troubled. He said to them, "My soul is very sorrowful, even to death." He is feeling the weight. He is feeling the pressure. He is feeling deep sorrow, deep sadness. And he says, "Remain here and watch." Jesus then went a little further into the garden and fell to the ground and prayed. In Mark 14:36, he prays, "Abba, Father, all things are possible for you." Can you imagine being in this situation? All things are possible for you. All things. He is feeling the weight of the world on his chest. For those of us that may have had some form of anxiety in their life, they know what that pressure feels like. They know what it feels like. Jesus is likely to have felt that pressure, the weight of the world. And he says, "Remove this cup from me." Of course you would, wouldn't you? Of course you'd be like, "Oh, yet not what I will, but what you will." That's the pressure switch. That's the pressure coming off. It's this moment where he's like, "It sucks, but you're better." But this also gives us a glimpse into Jesus showing his full humanity and full divinity. Jesus feels the weight of what lies ahead. He knows the suffering that is coming. He knows the cross that awaits him. He knows the punishment. He knows what's around the corner. He knows it's not getting any better. Yet even in that moment, he remains completely submitted to the will of the Father. He says, "Not what I will, but what you will." Mark records the moment briefly, really quickly. So let's put a little bit more context around it. What does John's gospel have to say about this? We see in John chapter 17, 20, 21. He says, "I do not ask for these only, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they may be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me." When Jesus is in this moment of sorrowful weight, "Take this cup from me, Father, take this off me," he's thinking of you and me. He's thinking of those who would know him, believe in him through their testimony. He was praying for you and me. Let that sink in for a moment. The God-man, Jesus Christ, was thinking of you and me. All of those who would look to him, all of those that would believe the testimony of the few. You sit in this room because of the testimony of the few, but most importantly, because Jesus was already thinking about you. Even in the garden, before the cross, Jesus is praying for the people who will one day belong to him. Even in that place of deep distress, there is victory and freedom beginning to unfold. Because the prayer of Jesus is about reconciliation. It is about bringing people back into relationship with God, the Creator, true victory and true freedom. Now, as the story continues in Mark, Judas arrives. Judas had already left earlier to betray Jesus, and now he returns with a crowd sent by the chief priests and the religious leaders. Judas approaches Jesus and greets him with a kiss. The kiss that should have symbolized loyalty instead became a sign of betrayal. The one who I kiss is the one that you want. Jesus is immediately seized and taken away. He is brought before the religious authorities where false accusations are brought against him. In that room, there is no real victory or freedom. There was no way out. We can look at that courtroom, we can look at that space and can say there was no victory and freedom in that space. There was nothing good about that room. The leaders were not seeking truth, they were seeking power and control. They failed to recognize the Messiah standing before them. Let me just put some color back around this. These guys actually went and saw him do these things. The ones that were persecuting him, that were in that court, we'll call it a courtroom, hey? In that space, in that Sanhedrin, in that room, in that temple, wherever they were, in those temple courts, those people that were judging him had seen him do all the good stuff, all the amazing stuff. They're the ones that said, no time for this. We don't want this. They're the ones that could have said, no, we're actually for him. They'd seen it all. But this is a moment where they chose their power over the Messiah standing before them. They ignored the miracles they had witnessed. They dismissed the authority of the one who had healed the sick and proclaimed the kingdom of God. And eventually, Jesus is handed over to the Roman authorities. Big cleaning of their hands. Then the crowd is given a choice. They offered Barnabas, a known murderer, to be swapped for Jesus. And shockingly, the crowd chose the murderer. They chose to set a known murderer free and an innocent, compassionate healer to persecution, to be hung on a cross. The guilty man is released and the innocent man is condemned. Jesus is exchanged for a criminal and led away to the cross. While he was handed over to the Romans, while he was handed over, they mocked him. The Romans mocked him. They whipped him. For those that need a mental image, think of if you remember a cat nine tails. Some will have no idea what Aaron's talking about now, but some will know exactly what I'm talking about. Think of a bunch of leather strips on the end of a whip handle. And in each of those strands of leather is something that is sharp, whether it is glass, whether it is steel, whether it is rocks. Anything that is sharp that can be put into this leather was put into this leather. And this is what they call scourging, where they would whip the prisoner. And with every whip, it would remove skin as it was drawn off. This is what Jesus was exposed to. This was exactly what Jesus had to deal with. But every whip crack, every step as he's marching up the hill, as he's walking up the hill, He's thinking of you and me. I don't know if you guys ever think about this, but this is astounding. The fact that as he's taking every step, he's already thought about you, he's already prayed for you, and he's still thinking about you. And he keeps on going up. Now, it doesn't matter what side of this argument you sit on, whether it is he just took the crossbeam or he actually carried the whole cross. It doesn't matter. He carried a very heavy weight up a hill for a very long time while he was being whipped and scourged for you and for me, so that we would be reconciled. We could have reconciliation with God. Every single step for you and for me, so that we would be reconciled or could be reconciled to God. But I think that this moment kind of forces us to think, well, why a cross? Why specifically a cross? Why was he hung on a cross? What was the point of the cross? I think John 3 kind of gives us a snapshot of why. John 3, we all know John 3:16. Well, we might have heard it before. But just before that, in John 3:14, Jesus says to Nicodemus, "As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up." Jesus is referring to an event recorded in Numbers 21. I told you it was my favorite book, Joel. In Numbers chapter 21, the people of Israel had sinned against God. They'd spoken against the Lord and against Moses. And as a result, serpents came into the camp, and many people were bitten and began to die. The people recognized their sin and cried out to Moses. Numbers chapter 21 verse 7 records their words, "We have sinned. We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he takes away the serpents from us." The people of Israel recognized that they had sinned. The people of Israel recognized their brokenness. The people of Israel, as recorded in Numbers 21, cried out to Moses to intercede on their behalf. And Moses prayed to the Lord for the people. Moses interceded for his people. The Lord then gave Moses an unexpected instruction. He said, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole. And everyone who is bitten, when he sees it, shall live. When he looks to it, shall live." Moses obeyed and lifted the bronze serpent on a pole. Anyone who looked at it lived. The very symbol of the curse became the means of healing. Jesus implied to Nicodemus that this moment pointed directly to him. Nicodemus had already seen there was something completely different about this Jesus fellow. Nicodemus snuck away at night to have this rad conversation. You can read it. It's in John chapter 3. He's having this conversation. This high priest is inquiring what's going on. And Jesus uses scripture again to reinforce who he is. And he reinforces who he is to Nicodemus by pointing out something very, very specific. That the Son of Man will be lifted up for all to see, just like that fiery serpent in the desert. It would be lifted up so people could see it. So when they look to it, they would live. They would be healed. The cross was a Roman instrument of execution. It was designed for humiliation, suffering, and death. Yet the cross has become the central symbol of the Christian faith. Some of you might have seen people have one around their neck. Some have probably seen the blue cross on the side here, or as you're driving up the motorway, you'd see crosses everywhere. It's like, oh, that's really nice. It's really, really nice. There is no chance, the early church had crosses. The very first churches had crosses. There's no chance that any Roman would have a cross decorated around their neck or around their house. There is not a chance. There's not a chance. It was a symbol of execution, a complete symbol of execution. And I think we do that as Australians. We do that. We sanitize the cross. We make it like, oh, that's a nice polished piece of jewelry around your neck. Do you know what that means? That is where my Savior, that is where my God, that is where my King, Lord, and Savior died. We have sanitized the cross, and we shouldn't. Why? Because when Jesus was lifted on the cross, he carried the curse of sin. He carried your rebellion. He carried your separation. He carried your stuff. He carried your stuff. He carried the judgment that belonged to us, just as the Israelites looked at the serpent and lived. We look to Christ and live. This is why John 3:16 declares, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish." Whoever looks to him should not perish. Whoever has him as their Lord, King, and Savior will not perish. Whoever looks to the cross and sees what Jesus has done and believes he is God will not perish, but will have eternal life. The cross becomes the place where victory is secured. Reconciliation is secured. Victory is secured. Reconciliation and freedom are purchased. Today we stop at the cross. We do not rush past it. We do not move too quickly to the empty tomb. Today we sit in the shadow of the cross because the cross reminds us of the cost our freedom had cost. We stop and we reflect and we focus on the cross. The cross reminds us that our victory did not come cheaply. I don't think there's any one of us, and Scripture tells us not many, if any, only one that would lay down their life for the sake of their neighbor to death. Jesus paid the ultimate sacrifice. Jesus went all the way. Our victory and our freedom came through suffering, betrayal, rejection, and the death of the Son of God. Jesus was not caught in a tragic accident of history. He walked willingly towards it. In the garden, he said, "Not my will, but yours be done." Sin had entered the camp of humanity just as the serpents entered the camp of Israel. Every one of us is a sinner. Every one of us needs Jesus. Every one of us. We know it. We see it in the world. We see that we live in a broken space, a broken world. And we know that Jesus is the only one that can sort it all out. Every one of us had been bitten by sin. Death had entered our story, and we could not save ourselves. Just going to invite the team up. So the Son of Man, the man of sorrows, was lifted up. He was lifted up on the cross to carry the curse and to bear the judgment that belonged rightly to us. Fam, anyone who looks to him in faith finds life. Fam, if you're still sitting on the fence, you've been dragged to church, literally been dragged to church. If you're here in this space this morning and you don't know Jesus, make sure you look to him. He was raised on a cross for you, for me. This is no joke. This is not oh yeah, she'd be right. I'll watch some TikTok vid and that'll just like destroy it in 5 seconds flat. No. Get your eyes on Jesus. See Jesus. Look to Jesus. This morning we stand at the foot of the cross and remember what it cost. And for some this morning, finally learning of this amazing news. It's called the gospel, which means good news. Let's go one step further. It's amazing. It's amazing good news. We remember this morning, we remember the nails, the crown of thorns, the mockery, the darkness, and the cry of the Son of God. Why have you forsaken me? It is finished. The cross reveals the depth of our sin, but it also reveals the depth of God's love. On that cross, Jesus carried what we deserved, and through his death, victory was secured and freedom was purchased. Hallelujah. So this morning, we pause, we reflect, we remember, because Sunday is coming. But today we sit at the cross. Fam, let's stand and sing Man of Sorrows.